Hey my friends, welcome back to a new video. Today we have an important topic to talk about. Why being alone is so important on the spiritual journey. On the journey of awakening back to the self, realizing who you are and recognizing what life is teaching you. Why being alone on that path is so important. Not for all the time, but for a certain period of time, or at least certain moments in a day. So before we start, my friends, let me know in the comment section, how are you doing today? How are you moving through those phases of ending of the year? What kind of energy you feel? Do you feel liberated? Do you feel like something is bothering you? Do you feel like you need to release something? We are in an important phase, and maybe I will make another video just about the energy right now, because what's happening, when we are getting towards the end of the year, we experience that great opportunity to release what is kind of bothering us. Like, let go of the ideas that are saying to you that you need to change yourself or that you need to fix yourself. Because my understanding of the truth is that we need to recognize how to use what makes us unique for the benefit of all. How to use what makes us unique. So we need to recognize what makes us unique, and that's where we recognize who we are. Because we are that unique expression of the self, right? And we've been programmed to believe that we need to adapt to the standards of society. But as more and more people are waking up, we are slowly recognizing that we actually need to build a society of unique individuals. And when we start to realize this, that kind of a paradigm shift that's happening right now, we notice that, where to start? I need to start at noticing what makes myself unique, right? What's unique about me? What makes me special in that interesting, unique, individual way, without any ego, but really noticing, what are your talents? What are your gifts? Where you feel naturally drawn to? What sparks that generous joy within your heart? And what connects you with nature and with life around you? So those are the things we can only notice when we spend more time alone. That's why I want to talk today about why it is important to spend more time alone. And often I find interesting comments here on this channel where many of you are wondering if it's okay that I just feel like I want to be alone. And I always say to you, it's completely okay. Just don't overdo it. Just don't lose yourself. Everything is about balance. So we need to find the sweet spot, right? The sweet spot of how much is enough. And we can only find it through great level of self-awareness. And self-awareness can be built through paying attention to what you were not aware of before. So you become more aware of your unconscious patterns. And the truth is, a part of it can be discovered in solitude, in spending time alone, in meditating, in being in nature, and so on. But a part of our unconscious self can be also discovered in generous, honest, wonderful conversations with people we love, with people who we would describe as soul tribe, or people with whom we can connect on that heart level. So we need to find that that balance between being alone and having company that can help us to evolve and to move forward on that path of spiritual evolution. So why it is important to be alone on a journey? As I mentioned, well, it's hard to recognize how incredible you are as an individual, how incredible you are, because the world may tell you that there's something wrong with you. Maybe you haven't discovered your gift yet, your calling yet, or whatever, but it doesn't mean there's something wrong with you. Maybe because you were not the best at school, it doesn't mean that there's something wrong with you. You know, all the system is designed to say yes. Like, we need to say yes to the things that somebody asks us. Like, you need to say yes. If you say no, you're already a problem. So we've been trained to say yes to everything, because if we say no, there will be a problem. But when you feel that you need to say no, but you're told to say yes, then you don't know what to listen. What's the truth here? And when an individual starts waking up to that understanding that maybe that inner voice is sometimes more important than external noises, we start questioning, like, what is that voice? What do I feel right now? And that's why we feel a need to be alone, to recognize what that inner voice is telling me right now. Not that mind chatter, you know, that monkey mind, not that voice. But there's a voice beneath the thoughts, like a deep feeling, like an intuitive feeling. You know, sometimes that voice may say to you, call a certain person, because there's a connection you need to make with that person. And if you do, you recognize that there was an important information that came to you after you've connected with that person. And sometimes, as I felt in the past, that I need to start painting, for example, it was that inner feeling, inner calling. And you know, when I've noticed that calling, when I've quitted my job and I had a lot of time to be with myself, I've noticed that I want to start creating. So that's why we feel a need to be alone. And if you feel a need to be alone, it's completely okay. You need to remind yourself that there's a reason behind feeling whatever you feel. Every feeling is an important signal for you. So you need to know that every feeling is an important signal for you. Not that feeling is the truth, but it is an important signal that is trying to say something to you. So you need to pay attention to it. In other words, if you would ask yourself, let's say if you would step outside of your body, like you would be your own spirit guide, what would be the signs or what would be the signals you would give to yourself that would awaken you to a greater understanding of yourself? What kind of signals you would give to yourself that would awaken you to a greater perspective of how you're perceiving yourself and your life? Because you may notice that the way you feel right now is how your spirit guides want you to feel. So you would notice that there's something bigger awakening within you. And if any of it is resonating with you, there may be some truth to it. Like, what kind of signals would you awaken within yourself so you would awaken to that greater awareness of yourself? And that's why you feel a need to be alone. You see, that intuitive voice or intuitive sensation that is connecting us to the great web of life, to the web of nature, to the connection that is always present. It is a really gentle connection, and voices, like sometimes if we are training, if you're familiar with telepathy, if you're practicing telepathy with a friend of yours, for example, I'm doing it with my friend, and he sometimes sends me a message through telepathy, and You know how we awaken that, or how we sense the message? It's such a gentle sensation that you easily miss it because you think you're making it up. But more we practice it, more we become familiar with that gentle sensation, and that's how we start training our intuition. But most often we can only train it when we're alone, when we remove ourselves from the external noises of the world so we can find the inner quietness, right? When we become better at it, we can awaken it anytime, anywhere. Doesn't matter how loud the environment is, we can tap into the inner stillness. So it can help us to strengthen our energy system. It can help us to strengthen our mind, our focus, our attention. And many people are lacking or have really weak minds in the nowadays because nobody trained us how to use our minds, right? So being in solitude for a certain period of time, it can be a certain period of time in a day or sometimes more days, can help us to strengthen that connection. But it can make you a stronger introvert. That's why it's so important to talk about your experiences. You see, in many ancient tribes, people were gathering together. So they were talking about their experiences, their spiritual experiences. Usually we can find it in many Native American tribes. They were sitting around the fire and they were talking about their dreams. They were talking about their mystical experiences that occurred during meditations. So that kind of a connection is so important. But because in the times like this right now, sometimes it may be hard to find people with whom we can connect on that empathic, generous level, we may find ourselves being alone, like being outcasted or not fitting into the system of society. And it is a sign of evolution. It is a sign of growth. We all move through it because on the other side, there's a whole tribe waiting you to get there. And until you will get there, you need to find that inner trust within you, that there's an army of ancestors supporting you to break that cycle of generations that were programmed to be a part of this matrix. And as you start to feel that you need to be more alone to recognize what is calling you, eventually you start breaking that cycle so you can emerge into a greater version of you. So there is a beauty in that, but it's often hard. It's like a caterpillar, when it moves through the major transformation, and on the biological level, it looks like the caterpillar is dying, but at the same time, it is giving a birth to the new cells that eventually manifest into a beautiful butterfly. And that's what's happening to many people. As we start to feel like we need to spend more time alone, we need to reflect a little bit how much we've changed, how much more we've discovered, what makes us different, actually makes us special in a positive way. That there's a great sense of creativity that is emerging as you are becoming more familiar with your true self. And creativity is a language of life, right? Creativity is a language of life. It's a language of nature. It's completely unstructured energy without an order. So you need to give an order to it. That's why creativity is so free and so wide, so expanded. And to use it, you need to have a certain amount of knowledge. You need to have increased senses so we can sense it. Like for an artist, you need to have a knowledge like how you want to use that creative force that's moving through you. Like, for example, for me, I like to use it to make an inspirational art that may inspire people. So I don't think much what kind of painting to create. It's just my intention. I want to inspire people. I want my art to be the way that will awaken that song in the heart of people, like a fire in the hearts of people. And that's my intention. And intention is enough that one intention can already navigate that creative force that's moving through you. And as you become more familiar with that fire that is awakening within you, you will notice that if you use your intentions wise enough, they will start manifesting really fast. You will start downloading really, really incredible ideas that will help you to transform your life in a massive way. And that's something truly important to know. Because sometimes people are afraid of that. People think that there's something wrong with them as they start to feel like something new is awakening or emerging within them. There's nothing wrong with you. You're not going crazy. You're just waking up. But you need to understand that it's a slow process. Maybe a bit faster right now, but still it's a slow process. Like imagine a flower, how slowly it is emerging from a seed until the stage where or when it starts blooming. It's a slow process, and that's how you're starting to bloom. And that's why a lotus flower is a symbol of a spiritual awakening, because it's slowly starting to bloom. And that's what's happening to you. So that's why solitude is often really important, but also finding people like a soul tribe with whom you can exchange what you're moving through. So we can recognize that you're not alone on that process, that you're not going crazy, that what you're moving through is actually natural, and what you've been told by the society is not natural. So we need to recognize that what we've been told as being normal is truly not normal. Because there's something within ourselves that's calling us, and that's normal. To find that calling, to recognize that calling, to say yes to that calling and follow it and see in what kind of direction it is pulling you. That's normal. That was always a part of the evolution of the soul. It was always a part of that journey of transformation. In many ancient tribes, it was completely natural that at one point a person will become aware of that inner calling. And when we say yes to that calling, we also say yes to some deep challenges, because we need to break certain paradigms, certain mental structures that were holding us to the identity of the old limited self. And to restructure, to relearn what life is all about sometimes takes a lot of time, and sometimes we need to move through challenges so we learn through painful experiences to trust. Because life is teaching us to go from attachment to security into attachment to trust. And that's what that phase of deep challenges or the dark night of the soul is teaching us. To detach from security and attach yourself to trust. And again, it's a long process, and it doesn't need to be scary. It doesn't need to be scary. Because, when we start developing a sense of intuition, and we start asking ourselves what we truly want with our lives, where we truly see ourselves in the future, we start to think really deeply about who we are meant to become. Like, what could be the greatest expression of myself? And when we start asking those deep questions, we'll start developing a vision for the future that will inspire us. And there's power in that vision. That vision will inspire you. It will bring some new enthusiasm into your life. And I think it's important to know right now, as we are moving into the new year, how to bring some new enthusiasm into our lives so we can feel inspired to create something new. So we stop focusing on what's wrong, but we actually ask ourselves, how can we make it better? Right? How can you make your life even better? Because that's in your power. And we need to learn to develop our minds to such a degree that we will use them as creative tools for designing the life we wish to see. And that's what your life is teaching you right now. So you need to learn to trust more. And in previous video, I've shared with you 5 steps. How can you learn to trust more? So we are becoming more familiar with our fears, with our worries, with anxiety, with sadness, with shame, with guilt, with all those emotions that are kind of pulling us back into the box of limitations. And as we become more familiar with those emotions, we recognize, well, those emotions are part of us. There's nothing wrong with that part of us. That's what is helping us to be safe and to move through the process of transformation with a slow pace, so we are not rushing too much. Because life is teaching you to move through the process of change with a slow pace. In a slow pace, it's like being in slow motion mode. And what happens in the slow motion, we can see more details, right? That's why you're not fasting yet great results. You're manifesting them slow. But it's okay. You need to know that it's okay. Eventually, manifestations will start happening faster. But if they are not coming to you really fast yet, it means that you are missing some important details. And just a simple intention that you set yourself every single morning, like when you start your day, you say to yourself, please guide me towards the greatest version I can be, will help you to see the details that you've been missing before. And details are the missing links of the puzzle, right? Or missing pieces of the puzzle. Once you put it together, you experience a greater understanding of yourself and also of your part of being at this time right now and the purpose behind it. So all the things are slowly coming together. And to figure all of that, sometimes we just need to spend more time alone. So don't think there's something wrong with you. Just know that it's all a part of your evolution. So finding a soul tribe is something that will help you so much on that journey. And if you think it's impossible for you right now, again, set an intention for it. You can find great communities. You can find here on AttractPassion a truly beautiful community. You can find a group on Facebook as well. And in 2023, I'm planning to build a platform where there will be a live community and you will be able to communicate with one another when people will be active there and live. And I think it can help many people to connect and to exchange the experiences, what we are moving through at a certain time. So many things are coming up, many great things. So my friends, until then, stay beautiful, stay creative. I'm sending you all lots of love, blessings and power. I hope you've enjoyed in today's painting, and thanks to all of you for supporting my art in my Etsy shop. I Draw My Passion. You're all truly appreciated. I love you all, my friends. Till next time, one love.